again, I am Rodney Butler. I am your host, and today we have a candidate for that's running for re-election for the Douglas County Coroner's Office. We have Miss Renee Godwin. Renee, welcome. And before we start our interview, I just want the people to know that, hey, we ran a little bit behind. We had some technical difficulties, but hey, like we've always been told, right? Better late than never. So we are here. We're ready to go. Renee is fired up. I think this is one of the last productions she's going to do for this campaign, and she's ready to go. So with that, Renee, since we are a little bit behind, let's go right into letting the audience know just a little bit about yourself before we get started with the questions.
Okay.
Yeah, so just tell the audience just a little bit about yourself before we ask the first question.
Okay. I'm Renee Godwin. I'm your Douglas County Coroner. I've been the coroner for 8 years now, and I'm running for the re-election. And I have a law enforcement background, 30 plus years of law enforcement. So doing that, I have, I'm a first responder and a last responder. I've been enjoying what I do because of the things that I've seen. I've always had an interest in law enforcement, and I'm sorry, and death investigations, because being out on the street, going to homicide cases, I want to be the voice for the dead, and it intrigued me, and I've always had an interest in forensics. And so I had a lot of questions about death, and I was going to mortuary school until my mom taught me out of it. But I've always wanted to get into that field. So with law enforcement and trying to go to all the different investigative classes and seeing some things that happened to my grandfather when he passed, that encouraged me to run for coroner, because with the disrespect that I had when I was at my grandfather's home when it came to pick the body up, I said to myself, I let no other family go through what I went through. So that's how I ended up. I ran, I was elected a second term, and I pray that I get the support to be selected a third term.
Absolutely. So basically, there was you ran because of personal trauma that you saw that happen in your own family. So that's you have a personal story tied to as to why you ran. But my first question, Renee, is what inspired you? I know you talked about why you ran, the first time or whatever, how you got into this, but what inspired you to run for Douglas County Coroner this year, this time?
I like what I do. I love what I do, and I wanted to continue what I'm doing. And what really inspires me is when I go to the homes and I sit and listen to the grievers. And when I first get there, they distraught. But when I leave, it's a smile on their face. They're at peace. And I love giving families peace.
Okay, great.
Absolutely.
Kevin, you got the next
Absolutely.
one? Yes, sir.
Yeah, I said absolutely, because you're going to meet people at their worst possible moment. So I'm glad you can leave them with a smile. Okay, my question, can you outline any relevant educational background and specialized training you have in becoming a coroner?
Yes, when I they don't send you to school until you're elected, but I went to the basic coroner class when I was elected, but I also, with my current law enforcement background, I had a lot of homicide investigation classes. And along with the training that I have with the coroner's office, I also seek outside training. I just took a child death investigation class up in St. Louis, and I take the second half in 2 weeks, but it's child investigation, death, and it's advanced child investigation death, and it's homicides and unexplained death for children. So, and a lot of training, we have in-service training with the Coroners Association. That is mandatory. We have to do that every year. And my office also provide quarterly training for my guys in the office, where we do mock training and we go over the new laws and so on and so forth. And what I do, I give them different questions and scenarios and see how they will handle a certain situation. And I'm also in school now for criminal justice, and I have 4.0 GPA. I'm
Good
born in
job.
Australia, so that ties along with what.
Okay.
Well, congratulations on that 4.0. It's not easy to do. Next question. As the Douglas County Coroner, you are responsible for determining the cause and manner of death in various situations. How do you ensure accuracy and thoroughness in your investigations?
You broke up. I didn't hear you.
Okay. Let me repeat it. As the Douglas County Coroner, you are responsible for determining the cause and manner of death in various situations. How do you ensure accuracy and thoroughness in your investigations?
Accuracy and thoroughness in my investigation comes with my training and experience. And if we have a death that is questionable, we send the body to GBI for an autopsy, and we wait on the medical examiner to send us a cause and manner of death.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. What what measures will you take to maintain integrity in the coroner's office and uphold ethical standards dealing with sensitive cases? Sir?
Okay, you cut out, but
Okay.
I think I know what you said.
Mhm.
All of my cases are sensitive. So whether it's a natural cause death, a homicide, a child death, all of them is sensitive, and we treat all cases the same.
Okay. Rodney?
Okay. Okay. So, next question. How do you collaborate with law enforcement agencies, healthcare professionals, and other stakeholders to improve the effectiveness of death investigations and ensure justice for families? You kind of answered it, but if you can go a little bit deeper.
Well, collaborating with law enforcement, that's a must. So, and healthcare providers, because we have to go to different hospitals. So the collaboration with surviving transition for families that seek support for grieving, it's a grief counseling, and we would give that resource.
Okay. All right, Kevin, you're next, sir.
Okay. Um, excuse me. In cases involving potential criminal activity, what protocol will you follow to coordinate with law enforcement and support the legal process?
And prior to being elected. And I work with law enforcement, and I always have to follow the law personally and professionally.
All right, moving right along. The role of a coroner often involves interacting with grieving families. How do you approach these interactions with empathy and professionalism? Again, you kind of went into it a little bit earlier, but this is an opportunity, Renee, for you to go deeper if you want to. So yes.
Yeah, like I stated earlier, we have a grief counseling and support available. And I also send out cards, sympathy cards to the family. And I also have a chaplain on my staff, and he as well reach out to the family when, like after the funeral, because we want them to know that they're still in our thoughts, our hearts, and we're thinking about them. Because at the end of the day, after a funeral, everybody say, "I'm gonna call you. We'll get in contact with you. I'm gonna check on you. I know how you feel." But these people go on with their everyday lives while we're still grieving. And I just want them to know we're here. We're still here for you. If you need anything, we're here for you.
Okay, good. Well, I'm glad you went a little bit deeper because I don't think, well, I don't think that a whole lot of coroners around the state and country is, doing those kind of things, giving out, sending cards and saying that, hey, we will continue to be here for you. And I'm assuming when you say that, you're talking not just a couple of days, but maybe weeks and months if it needs to be, in order to help them through the grieving process. Because like you said, you guys are trained into, grief counseling and that kind of stuff. And we know, especially in our community, that grief kind of ebbs and flows, And so, not to say it doesn't do that in anybody else's community, but like Kevin said one time, I think it was Kevin that said we can grieve for a long time. We can grieve for a long time in our community, unlike other communities. But yeah, I appreciate that extended answer on that, Renee.
Yeah, follow-up is important. Okay. What strategies do you have in mind to enhance the public awareness and understanding of the coroner's role and importance of death investigations within the community?
Well, we enhance public awareness. We have students to come out to shadow with the coroner from the high school. We also go to the high school and we talk to the forensic students that are interested in forensics, pathologists, being a coroner. We also provide summer interns to come and work in the office to see what we do and how we do it. And, we also have, I've teamed up with the solicitor's office, and we have the community service to come in and do time there. But what we do, we educate them on what we do in the coroner's office, and depending on how many people are there at one time, we'll teach a CPR class and get them their certification while they're doing their community service.
Right.
Okay, I was going to ask on that question, Renee, is how do the high school students receive visitors, from your office?
They receive it well, and it's a good thing because when we get in there and we start talking and, they're collaborating with us, that they're interested. There's been times we've been at the high school and the bell ring for them to leave out, and they're still asking questions. As a matter of fact, I just got an email from one of the high schools want us to come up after the summer break.
Okay, cool. Because I know, a lot of times I know that teenagers, because you're talking high school, they're usually intrigued, kind of with death, because I think they come into the age where they realize, that death is a thing. Mm-hmm. Whereas, when you're little bitty kids, you don't really have no sense of death and so I'm just interested to know. But I also want to ask you, how does your office, when you go out to the schools, do you get pretty good support from the administration in the schools?
Yes.
Okay, cool. That is good. All right. So
as a matter of fact, the administrators are the ones that, as a matter of fact, the administrators are the ones that reach out to us to have us to come back and speak with the students.
Okay. My next question is, actually, this should be my last question right here. How do you plan to address any existing challenges challenges or areas for improvement within the Douglas County Coroner's Office if you are reelected?
Well, I plan to assist our area for improvement by doing ongoing SWOT analysis and encouraging my staff to frequently implement self-care. Because a lot of times you can be overwhelmed with all the different types of calls and calls coming, back to back, and it's only one person on that call. So we need to do a lot of self-care because it can wear you down.
Absolutely.
Got it. Got it.
Absolutely. And here is the final question. Okay. Can you, excuse me, can you provide examples of your leadership experience and your ability to manage a team effectively, particularly in high pressure environment such as death investigations?
One investigation that I had was when a 2-year-old was burnt in a car with her grandmother. And that was a hard case. Your cases, your child cases are the hardest cases. Seeing a 2-year-old burnt to crisp in the back of the car in a baby seat, that had to be hard. And you still have to maintain integrity. And my staff, it's hard, but you just have to stay focused and continue to do what you have to do. When you leave the scene, you can cry then, but the hardest cases are child death cases. Now you still have to maintain that professionalism and integrity. And that's extremely important for me and my staff.
Absolutely.
Yes, ma'am. Okay. Well, look, Renee, that was the last question. We started late. We started late, but we are finishing early because I think everybody who knows you, everybody who's come in contact with you, know that you are a coroner of few words, but you definitely is a coroner who, keep your head down and you grind. And that is what I think, is most important with the citizens of Douglas County, because you do represent the county, as a whole. And we appreciate what you've done so far from the coroner's office. It is a very important office. Kevin and I have told anybody who's running for coroner or even thinking about running for coroner in the future that this is one of the most ignored and misunderstood offices in the, as far as elected offices in the county. And we understand what the coroner office, the purpose of it, and how important it is to our community, and especially to communities that are don't have a lot of resources. Let me just put it that way. And so the coroner's office can really make a difference. And so we look forward to working with you and having you, if you're reelected or not or whatever, having you to come back, on the Black Man's Roundtable to, let us know what's happening in the coroner's office, because we're going to reach out to you. If you hold on to this office, we are definitely going to reach out to you, Renee, and say, hey, let's talk about, let's take the coroner's office from this office of misunderstanding and this office of what seems to not be important, and let's put it forefront. So I appreciate you coming on. Kevin, before we allow Coroner Renee Godwin to let the people know how they can, reach out to her, support her, and all that, sir, do you have anything you want to close out with, Kevin?
Yes, I do. As Rodney alluded to earlier, Ms. Renee, we in our community grieve a year after our loved one dies. And when you're going there to retrieve a body, and the the body as a donor. How do you manage that when the family say, no, wait a minute, Big Mama's coming and she's going to drop a prayer and that person's going to get up? You can't take the eyes, the skin, and all that. How do you manage that drama at that point?
Well, if it's someone that wants to take a organ or anything, they have so many hours to do that. So the fact we have no control of that because state law, we have so many hours to retrieve anything. And if it's someone just want to come just to see the body, we will hold that body until the family members, because we have had situations where we had bodies from Africa and it took a while for the family to get here. And we just had to hold the body until they got here so that they could, spend their last time with the body, the decedent.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, Renee.
You're welcome.
This is a good opportunity to let the people know, let the voters know how they can reach you, support you, and if you have any events coming up, this is a good time to let them know.
Okay, as everybody know, I'm Renee Godwin. I'm the incumbent, and I'm running for re-election for the Democratic Party, the real Democratic Party. And I'm soliciting your support and vote. When you go into the polls on the 21st, just hit Renee Godwin, incumbent. And as far as events, I don't have any events planned, but I just solicit your reports. But there's a there's a lot of people really don't know what we do. It's a misconception. They think we just go in, put a body in a bag, and take the body out. But behind the doors, behind the scenes, that body has to be examined, whether it's a decomp body or a body just a natural cause death. If the body have worms on it, we have to examine that body with the worms. If they have sliverage for being in the sun, the humidity, the skin coming off, we still have to investigate and examine that body. So we treat all bodies the same, whether they're decomp bodies or just a natural cause death. And people just think we just come and pull bodies out, and that's it. But there's a lot behind the scenes. But I want to thank you for allowing me to be here, and I'll solicit the support from the county citizen. I thank the citizen for entrusting me for the last 8 years, and I'm looking for more support this term. And that's it. You have a good day. Good night.
Hold on.
So Renee, you said there's a lot of work behind the scenes. I want to say that we need to show and teach, and I know that you can do it from that coroner's office, that there's a lot. Look, people respect, there's enough TV shows to kind of dramatize, what coroners and all these people do, at the death scene. I don't know exactly how accurate that stuff is, but more than likely, most of it probably burn your eyes. Like it's like me or Kevin watching a military picture and we see every single thing wrong. I'm sure you do the same thing when you see these coroners on TV. But actually, Renee, I beg to differ. There's a lot that you guys do, right up front, that people can see, not necessarily behind the scene. When you're dealing with a grieving family, you got people screaming, and then you got to hold all this professionalism in. You got, the cop over here, doing whatever. You got the medics, and you have all that, and then God forbid it's a crime scene. You got CSI and all these other folks, but you're trying to maintain, integrity, and you're having to juggle, all these different balls. With the most important ball that you're juggling is that of the deceased family members, and keeping them, under wraps. So no, don't underestimate. I hope that people, if if they're involved, if their family involved, to where a coroner have to come out, usually if a coroner got to come out, it's probably not the best situation. I mean, no death is the best situation, but you're more than likely you're not in a hospital. If the coroner is there, you didn't die in a hospital. But I hope that people just really appreciate not only what you guys do, behind the scene, but what you do, in front of everybody. It just takes some awareness and some teaching and some explanation for us to be able to, for you, not us, not me, to be able to get out and tell those people that. And so you're going to, I'm sure you're going to continue to do that. But no, please don't underestimate what you guys do in front of folks, not just behind the scenes. So with that, Coroner Renee Godwin, we appreciate you coming on.
She dropped off.
And I think she dropped off. Well, she was having a few connection issues. But anyway, Kevin, we appreciate her coming on, obviously. And look, man, I think that's our last one for this primary season. And I appreciate, man, you being in there and you hanging in there. I've been telling some of the candidates that, hey, we haven't worked as hard as any of the candidates, but boy, I tell you what, we put a few hours in ourselves, and I appreciate you, brother.
No problem.
Yep.
Same to you.
Absolutely. So look, that being said, family, we appreciate you, and we thank you for watching. We thank you for listening. Thank you for tuning in. And until next time, as always, we will see you out in them suites and them streets. Peace. Don't forget to check us out on Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts. Do you have show ideas or want to be on the show? Shoot us an email at blackmansroundtable@gmail.com. And please follow us on Facebook. 1